Hey folks, it's Ken Pulse back again with you here. And in this video, I'm going to show you another question that actually came out of one of my students in our self-service Business Intelligence Academy Ask Ken Anything sessions. And this one here was, okay, Ken, I've built myself my data model and I've got my formulas in place and everything's working correctly. But when I go and filter to a certain range, it actually removes a lot of the dates that don't actually have any sales for me. Do I need to write a crazy DAX measure in order to keep those there? Because I want to see that same picture where I have my dates all the way down the thing showing when they're empty. I don't want them suppressed when we haven't had those sales yet. So what I'm going to show you here is a quick demo. We're going to hop in. We're going to take a look. Here's the data model that I've used for my demo. It's just a simple Galaxy schema here with a couple of fact tables, sales and budgets. We've got a categories table and we have our calendar table that is linked together. And the big part that's important around this is that our calendar actually covers the entire fiscal years for which we have data, even if we only have sales and budgets for part of those fiscal years. So this will run out for the entire fiscal year, whether sales data or budget data is evident for those periods or not. Now, when I hop over to Excel, we can see that here we are, we're filtered down using our little timeline to show all of our sales and budgets variances for 2026. So that works great, but then we get to 2027 and we're missing some data. Naturally, the pivot table is designed to look at things and say, well, hey, when it's blank, we'll just suppress those rows because that way we don't fill it up with a bunch of extra garbage you don't want to see. But the problem is, I want to see that. So how do we go about fixing that? And the question is, do we need to write some crazy DAX to check and see if the value is blank? And if the value is blank, put in a 0. Well, that'll absolutely work. But it's actually a lot easier than that. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to go right click on my pivot table and I'm going to go to pivot table options. And what we can see when we bring this out, I should notice right off the bat, I do have the for empty cells show 0. So I'm actually just going to go and change this right now to show blanks where we don't actually have any values. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go and click on display. And under display, there's this setting here to say show item with no data on rows. And I'm going to click on that little guy right there and we're going to say, okay. And at that point, all of these items have no data and therefore they were being suppressed because by default, the pivot table is going to suppress items with no data in the fact columns. But now I've just toggled it to say, hey, keep those around. So now they show up as blank. Of course, the next section of this whole thing is, yeah, but I don't want them to show as blank. I want them to show as 0. Well, you've already seen the setting that fixes that. We'll just go back into the pivot table, go back into our pivot table options, and we're just going to go and change this to say for empty cells, show 0. And now when I say okay, boom, there we go. We've now got $0 values in all of the blank holes. So the pivot table looks complete. I've now got sales up to the period I'm looking for. And after that, zeros that show me that we're not quite there yet. And of course, it's completely compatible with 2026 where we actually had values. Everything works just fine. So the nice piece about this is while you could go and write a more complicated DAX measure to override the values on the pivot table and show values where they don't exist, this is so much easier when you know that there's actually a switch inside the pivot table's default properties to override that behavior. The other thing I do want to just quickly call out on this one here is that I've set that right now for rows. If we go back to display, you'll also notice that there is a show item with no data on columns. So if we wanted to do that, we could absolutely go switch this one on as well. Let me go back to 2027. Going to make a change to my pivot table right now. Just going to go and put month short on columns, and maybe I'll move my values down onto rows here. And that way I actually have my sales budget variance listed here. And as we run our dates across the top, again, all of these were suppressed before, but now with that setting on, this will actually keep those things in place. This is definitely not a setting that I set as default on my pivot tables. I like to take control of this where and when I actually need it, because I actually kind of like the fact that pivot tables suppress blank values by default. But if you need to override it, now you know how. Hopefully you'll find that tip useful as you're building out your pivot table arsenal.